done this in a little while.
I feel like I'm rusty.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've traded out the plant for some sort of electronic plant.
Yeah. It's a whole new era.
Yeah.
It's the era of the future.
This is our future nature.
This thing just makes me think I'm a caveman because looking at it makes me a little disoriented.
Yeah,
I'm just like
I get that.
dizzy. Oh, there's so many switches and nozzles and words and settings.
It's weird that when I look at that, I know, I feel such peace.
Well, it's soothing to you.
It makes me want to play Mr. Brightside at a wedding.
It's speaking your language.
You can.
It's perfect for that.
Yeah, it's not speaking my language. My language is like, this doesn't work, and I smash it. You know what I mean?
There's a hammer over there just for that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it's for. I was thinking about that. It's like, why does Scott need the hammer? Oh, that's for smashing the things that don't work. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's science right there.
Sometimes you work better afterwards.
Can you believe it's snowing right now?
Yeah, buddy.
It's been, what, 7 months of on and off snow now?
Yeah.
This is the longest it's been, I think. Like,
I hate it.
honestly, like, we haven't had too many good days this year.
No.
I love this weather right now, honestly, because
in April,
I was missing winter, dude. Like, I got out snowboarding twice, and it just wasn't the right year for winter.
See, for me, winter, like, should be on a beach somewhere else.
Yes, I agree.
I don't deal with this well.
But since I'm here in this horrible wasteland,
Might as well
I
do
expect
it.
it to fucking snow.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I get to the point where I just get tired of weather. Like, where it's like, I just want different stuff now.
Yeah.
It's been the same stuff for a long time, on and off. Like, we're going to have no spring. It's going to go from winter into summer again. And I hate that switch every day. Because it's such a hard turn.
Oh, yeah.
You get like maybe 3 days of spring here, and then it's just
hot.
fucking 30 degrees all
It
of a
was
sudden.
summer last week. It's winter this week, and it's summer again next week.
Yeah, well, there's not going to be any spring or fall. Fall's my favorite, too.
Yeah, I don't mind fall, to be honest with you.
You don't like
If we
fall?
get a... No, I do. I like fall. It's just
We don't really get it.
No, I've only experienced fall here like a couple of times, where you get like a slow turning of the leaves, and it's just kind of like nice, kind of dreary weather.
You just get that
you wanna have it
shitty,
with.
like, covered leaves and snow.
Yeah.
Like, all the fucking leaves are covered in snow. You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck happened overnight?
And it's just gross. They're all rotting.
And then it never goes back.
Yeah.
It's just, that's it. That first snow, that's the
It's
end of
just
it.
death and decay for 7 months.
But I do love snow for Christmas, and then that's it. Like, afterwards, get the fuck out. It's like, you know, with the tree in the house, right? Where it's like, why is there a fucking tree in the house? It's like you wake up from like a week-long drinking binge or something. Like, fuck, who brought all this shit in the house? Why are there Santa Clauses everywhere? Get this shit out of here.
I can't picture you drinking for a week.
Well, I haven't done anything like that any time recently.
I think it'd be hilarious.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I did do that a few times in my early 20s. But
We're getting beer drunk sometime.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Although the problem is now you're an adult, and it'll take you 2 weeks to recover from it.
Okay, I got it.
everything takes me 2 weeks to recover from.
Yeah.
Episode 100, forget the mushrooms. We're getting wasted.
I mean,
At the pace we're going
Yes,
right
it's
now,
fine,
we
right?
may be very old men when that episode
Yeah.
crosses around.
Episode 100 is
an episode a
22.
month kind of thing.
And then they died.
Well, what are we on now? Like 78?
No, this is like
We're almost 90, I think.
88.
Ah,
This
whatever.
is like 89, I think.
Even one a month will be there next year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
No problem. And I can stumble home now, so
That's
Right.
right.
You're within stumbling distance.
I'm
Technically, I
sleeping on
am
Watson's
too.
bed.
yeah, well, that's reasonable.
That being said, I wonder if being like drunk and stumble in this city is like a superpower because you camouflage, or
Yeah.
it makes you more at risk because you're not aware of your surroundings.
Both.
Right? Like you're both one of them and also easy prey for them.
Well,
Yeah.
because the folks who are already drunk and stumbling around, we already call them at risk, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as much as you will blend in, you will just become part
You
of
are
the
now
at-risk
at risk.
population.
And now you're part of that.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say now living downtown, I like our downtown quite a bit.
Well, me too.
And I know everybody's like nervous around them, our at-risk population here, but they're quite awesome.
I'm not. So my thing is that I'm nervous around them. Like, that's not even. It's,
Well, I'm not talking about us. I'm just
no,
talking
I get
about
it.
most other people.
But like my feeling is like when I see like a big pack of them like walking by and I've got to go somewhere, it's like I just don't want to deal with it. Just,
Yeah.
I'm not, because I don't want to be rude, but I also don't want to stand there and talk, and I know I'm gonna, because I'm not the kind of guy who can ignore them.
Yeah.
You know, and just be like, yeah, whatever, pal. Like my stepdad, you should see, he's ruthless with them. He's like, Like he'll tell them to fuck off, and he'll tell I can't do that.
No.
So like if they catch me, then I got to stand there and have the little conversation and do the dance, like.
But I still don't want to shake all their hands, you know. There was, especially the guy with the cowboy hat. He always wanted to shake hands, and I'm like, man, I'm not a germaphobe, but like,
it could be bad for my health.
But like, I don't need that.
That's how I feel.
I don't know where those hands have been, homie. I'm sorry, man.
Like it's the deposit at the end of the day. You used to tell me it was your worst part of your day, but like for me, it's not like I dread it. It's just like I'm done now. My day is over. I don't want to go over there and be stuck for 5 minutes because there's always a group of them hanging around over there. I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yes,
and you've got cash out in the open in your hand.
Yeah.
But I'm not so much worried about them taking it from me. It's just
it's not a violent. You're not out
there. Go.
You're not in danger. You know.
No, it's
I don't feel danger.
Yeah.
It's one of those like, man, I'm done. Let me get out of here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you were going out to your car one day and there was a guy passed out in the alley, it's like I'm gonna have to help this guy.
I have to deal with this now.
I can't socially walk away from this problem.
I can't unsee this and consider myself. Like I'll see someone like laying face down in a parking lot somewhere and drive through. See, that's my problem now.
That's
and I'll
where
go a couple blocks away, flip around, come back, and someone else is there, and I'm like, yes, somebody here.
I had that happen the other day when I was walking Watson.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like we're burdened by a bigger problem. Like here I am. I'm like, I'm tired of it. Go away. Like
5 minutes out of our day.
But it's like that is. It's just because we've been around it for too long. I think. Like it's
desensitization.
Exactly. We're too desensitized to it, and I think that's actually very sad.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Like I'd like to be able to care the way I would have before.
I wish when I saw someone passed out, it was like, okay, go time, let's help a person.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I see someone passed out a couple times a week. It's more of a nuisance than anything.
And in summer, it's a couple times a day, honestly.
Yeah. So here's something though. Do you think we would all feel different about it if there was anything that we could actually do?
Oh yeah. I think so. Because then you'd feel bad if you didn't, right? It'd be like, if I had done my duty, this would have been better. So like, societally, if you blow that up, what does that look like? Like, you think we've collectively all failed?
Well, okay, so we don't fully understand the problem.
That's
right.
Like our failing.
Yeah, we are currently failing. We're trying, but we're trying kind of like poorly, or it's just we're
using
really,
a blunt instrument.
Yeah, we're pretty inept when it comes to understanding the problem in itself, let alone a solution to said problem.
Well, in the age of the internet, there's no consensus, so we can't even decide if we're going to help as a culture, right? Like right now, especially if you go to local like city council crap, we can't even decide if we're going to help, let alone how to help.
Well, okay, so the real question would be societally. I think is the first turn, because I think one of the things that we struggle with is most people, especially when they're voting on people to vote in to create policies and things like that, there is an assumption that I think is wrong, and I think it's created this problem, which is drugs are bad. Like, as though these people have encountered this thing and this thing that we don't understand.
Nuance, man. Like it's such a nuanced problem.
Well, like the idea is that it's blame the drug, right? That's what's been historically. It's like, oh, this is a crisis of this chemical. It's like, yeah, okay, but the chemical is just a component of it. The other side of it is mental health.
Yeah.
So you're saying that like kind of there's within that lack of consensus in our culture, you're kind of saying that one portion of our population is trying to say, well, the drugs are the problem. Get those off the street.
I would
the
say
other
our
portion,
voting population is saying that.
Yeah.
The people that actually care enough to vote are saying that.
Yeah.
The people that don't care enough to vote.
You think it changes as much as you make at gunpoint everybody has to vote? What do you think happens?
And that's a terrible idea.
No. I don't mean we should do that. What I mean is like the voting population.
If the voting population
let's make it the whole population.
If the voting population expanded to those who have encounters with recreational substances, because I would say a vast majority of people that interact with like recreational drug use don't vote.
Let's look at the voting population. What does the voting population look like? I think it's a lot of people that aren't very happy.
I think it's 45-year-old to 88-year-old.
Yeah, but
30,
like
30 plus.
Man, you're giving a lot of credit to 30-year-olds.
So
like your grouping of people seem to care more about voting.
Yeah. Like everyone I know is like, oh, of course I voted.
Yeah, no, that's not most
not
people.
usual. Yeah.
No.
So what is the difference? What
terms
decides whether you vote or not? Is it awareness?
I want to posit one thing before we dive into that rabbit hole in particular. I think, and this is just me stabbing at the wind, we'll see if anyone agrees with me. I think that if all of a sudden voting was mandatory at provincial, municipal, and federal levels, I think our whole government system in the entirety of North America would just go like take a big step to the left.
Well, they don't.
Because suddenly that younger vote.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
That is why the right. And I'm indifferent here. I'm pretty centrist. But that is why I believe anyway. Obviously you can't prove something like this, but the right wing is very big on voter suppression. Right?
Yeah.
Voter suppression.
And I can understand that assumption because young people tend to go empathetically, but I think more that the younger you are, the more further away from those middle points you are. So it's
I disagree. I think the younger you are, the closer you are to those middle points.
I think it would depend on who you are.
So I think what ends up
I've
happening,
gotten more towards the center. I used to be really, really left, and I can't get really, really right because there's just too many things that keep me away from that.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm a conservative at heart, but I go left because I'm a progressive.
I would like the idea of conservatism if there wasn't so much bad baggage there. And a regressive mentality. Like, I don't like the idea of limiting, I don't like the idea of stopping abortion, and I don't like the idea of the gay marriage thing. But I think that we got a lot of left-wing ideals through, and so now I kind of feel like I'm not saying we can't go any farther, but I'd like us to kind of take stock of where we are and go, what do we want to do next?
I want to keep our progressive values with a more conservative fiscal outlook.
Oh,
with a more conservative way of running the fucking country.
Yeah, I'm not a big
you want
fan
social programs to be empathetic, and you want them to be run by a hard-nosed conservative.
Efficiently. We can still trim the fucking fat here.
Oh, for sure. There's way too much fat.
Yeah.
I have a big problem with a lot of the social programs that we have these days. Not necessarily that we're helping, but it just seems like it's like if we're going to do this, then we can do this too, and then it just gets to where we're socializing everything.
It's pretty weird that we vote in one governmental style to encompass all elements of government. Like the idea of okay, guess what? Federal, one of you. Whereas if you were to be able to vote in components of each government, you could maybe balance it out.
We do that.
Well, sort of. We have representatives within the House in terms of voting.
That's right.
But I'm saying within the governing body, that those are appointed within that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like when you vote a party in, they are appointing people to roles within that government. And that's the part that I think becomes a little bit, what do you call it?
I have trust issues. Sorry.
Yeah, it's understandable. There's a little bit of, I don't know if you call it nepotism, but just you're making it so that the viewpoints of the people that are supposed to be enacting these things becomes all tonally one way.
What you are talking about is a form of corruption that got especially bad in the early 1900s.
Yes.
In the early 1900s, now I'm speaking of the U.S.'s makeup more than Canada's, because I'm more familiar with the U.S.'s. So in the early 1900s, the U.S. actually changed how the presidential kind of candidacy system works, because the president used to kind of come in and then bring all his political supporters and give them sweet government jobs, and that's how the executive office of the president was run. Now, of course, that's still separate from Congress and the Senate, but there were all these jobs that kind of should have gone to specialized people that were instead given to political supporters.
Yes.
So, as much as I typically in my lifetime have used the word bureaucracy in this kind of negative context, that's where the bureaucracy really gained a lot of strength and where it actually serves a purpose. As much as it's still this very expensive, kind of slow-moving boat, the bureaucracy actually works to prevent a lot of that. It limits the amount of people that each president or prime minister fires and brings into place every 4 years. So instead, there are people that keep their jobs for much longer. They're able to specialize. You can get more specialized people into place. But that problem still exists, but it used to be way fucking worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like certain characteristics of politics work well in certain areas, and it just is weird to me that we can't, we as the public don't have, like, I mean, granted, we don't do a very good job of actually acting within the system that's currently there, but the idea that we can't have a say as to more specificity in more areas is really strange.
Well, I think what you want is to have a cold-blooded person running the amount of funds that get given to certain programs, but they don't get to decide how those programs use that money.
Some version of referenda to direct where the public wants those social funds to
Sure,
go.
and then say Kevin is the expert on the subject at hand. Now he gets to decide how that money is spent.
Yeah.
You know, but it's going to be the same amount of money because it has to be, right? Because if Kevin could suddenly go, oh no, I need 3-4 times this much, it's like, yeah, well,
You know, what the U.S. currently has today.
Exactly, right? Like
Inflation.
it has to be given a certain amount.
Oh yeah. No, we're all tied to that one.
Or else everyone can do that, right?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, every expert goes, "Oh, you don't understand. We need more money for this. Like this is you're being too cold. There's no empathy here. You don't understand. These people are suffering. Whatever. They make whatever kind of case they want. All of a sudden, say, okay, we give you more money.
Yeah.
Where is this money coming from? Now all of a sudden, everyone's asking for more, right? It's like you need that cold-blooded, almost tyrant kind of mindset about it. This is the money you're getting.
Yeah.
Spend it how you want, right?
Yeah.
And instead of going, oh, we can just keep making more and more and more, and it doesn't hurt anything. Just throw some more money at it.
We're really fucking rays of sunshine this morning, aren't we? So, speaking of rays of sunshine, it's seeming more and more like Russia's going full Nazi on stuff here.
Is it?
There's 400,000 people from Ukraine have been exported into Russian Siberia, probably to be slaves.
More than likely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that like as the pessimistic.
Well, I have no idea. I haven't been
probably
paying.
is that way.
I haven't been paying much attention.
Yeah, I mean, I pay a little attention to it.
I was.
It's like,
But I gave up on it
yeah.
because it's just I
It's
can't.
a fucking bummer.
It is. It's too much
It's
of a bummer.
huge
There's too many
bummer.
bummers. And like I've kind of been in my life is going up right now.
Yeah,
like, I'm happier lately,
Yeah,
and I can't deal with the constant bummers.
of course.
Even like my younger brother, he's just never happy with anything right now.
He's living with you now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just don't talk to him. Like if he's going to be doing that, like he came out and he started it on me about something the other day, and I was like, all right, you do you, bud. I just kind of walked. It's not like because I don't expect severity from him either. It's not like I think he's going to take his own life. So if you're just going to be pissing around and upset, go do it somewhere else.
Go be grouchy over there.
Yeah, go do it in your room.
Yeah.
Whatever. Because like there's nothing good coming out of him, and I feel like that with a lot of social media right now. It's just misery nonstop, full blast.
Yeah.
And I just I kind of stepped away from that even more, even though I'm doing now the pages stuff too and running more stuff, doing more shit on those platforms. I'm spending less time engaging with them than I have probably ever.
Yep.
So I guess I'm a little tone deaf to what's being said.
Well, I will say, I think Instagram is tonally shifting towards positivity.
You think so?
Yeah. Or just
Maybe
mine
your
is.
habits are.
Even though
Well, no,
positive
potentially,
is good, but
I think it'll give you what you want to some degree.
Yeah, but I do think they're trying to, in terms of the things that they give traction to, even in terms of reels and stuff like that, a lot of the things that they are pushing into the world of things that are trending tend to have a tone that's a little bit more uplifting. Right?
silly.
Yeah.
Silly, candy, TikTok crap.
Yeah. And then the real if you want to get into the sad life, that's Twitter. It's wild how sad that place is.
I've never done Twitter.
The trick is, I kind of wish some reality was making it onto the old Instagram, because I feel like the less reality is on there, the less we're going to get that younger generation out and voting. Not to bring us back to fucking here, because this is another depressing
No,
topic.
it's fine.
I don't know if I don't know if we'll
Mm-hmm.
get there, to be honest.
Get the younger generation voting?
Well, okay, so it just seems to me like right now we're moving to a place where when people have no knowledge of something, like the structures that are placed currently are taking away people's ability to interact with them in an open manner. So it's like with the way that they're delineating information or putting out information currently, it's making it so that like with people that have less and less comprehension of a topic, less and less information is being allowed to be given.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's more of a summary, and you're not like the ability to look into it is being constantly shut down.
People are watching a guy doing this on TikTok and Instagram
Yeah.
instead of
I want to watch
reading
that.
news. Like 26-year-olds used to read newspapers.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
like,
there used to be newspapers.
like 2 generations
Well,
ago.
that being said, we used to have less options to get our information.
That's right.
And now it's like you could still read a newspaper.
And it's fun to say that social media is going to take us to positivity, but what we need right now is more of a knowledge, understanding, and consensus.
Well, it's certainly taking us to positivity of ignorance. Right?
Yeah.
Like just you're out of the world.
Mhm.
Like, I mean,
Well, it's because we all have our own storylines,
Yeah.
too. Like, there was a time when it was like, there is a storyline that's playing out that everyone knows about.
And why would you tune to a story about Ukrainian women getting raped
But
en masse?
I feel
when
like
you
what
can
we're
also do Batman.
But what we're
Right?
seeing
Which
is
one
like,
choose here?
like the news cycle is trying to keep us in that storyline type thing, right? Like everybody was very aware of COVID. Everybody's
Yeah.
very aware, or like cursory awareness of the
Mhm.
Russia stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like the Black Lives Matters. Like we've had these things come. A lot of them have been ramped up since Trump is gone.
Yeah.
I feel like because that was a big storyline running was everybody dislikes Trump. Oh,
And
did you hear
media's
what
trying
Trump
to
said?
keep its claws in.
I feel like and I've said it before, but I feel like all of this is in some way the decline of the Christian nation. Like having that one big thing that everybody believes.
It might be more like the decline of democracy.
Well, that could be. But like,
we'll see.
I just feel like we had more things in common that were potentially positive or uplifting at
Yeah.
one point.
Yeah.
And now it's like we have nothing to fill that hole with, so we just fill it with whatever fits.
That's
and
right.
it ends up being
Distraction.
distraction of all kinds. And everyone's are different. So like your whole life, when you go home, you could be doing nothing but Batman, since you mentioned it. Like I'm all into Batman. I'm into Batman.
Nothing
I got
wrong,
Batman
nothing
house.
wrong with Batman.
I'm sleeping in a Batman onesie. I got like,
Batman mobile
a
bed.
weird Batman kink I'm fucking after. Like it's all
Yeah.
Batman. You
Yes,
know what I
right.
mean? Like everything is Batman for Scott.
Yeah.
And then you
Amen.
come into contact with someone who's like, I fucking hate Batman.
and it rocks my world.
What did you just say? Right? And now it's gone to blows. And the guy who hates Batman doesn't even know what he's done.
Yeah.
Because he just said that to 4 other people who didn't give a fuck. But he just found the one that his whole identity is that. But that can happen in so many ways, right? Like, that's an extreme scenario, but, like, that plays out all over the place.
We've all got stuff we nerd out on more than others.
Of course. Make it
does
identity
happen.
of.
Like, I mean, like maybe not to blows, but when people's like identity and ideology is out in the world,
Of course.
it gets stepped on all the time.
I just made the scenario as wacky as possible, but
Yeah.
like that stuff happens every day, even in small ways, right? Like you just casually say something and it could irk 9 people in the building who've
Yeah.
been believing something you don't,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that whereas before I feel like we didn't have as many options of things to get into. So it almost kept us all more samey. So it's like there's a good chance that Jim or Bob both have the same kind of belief system.
Or even just things that you interact with, you all interact with. You know what I mean? Where it's like when we used to just have like regular TV. And
Imagine
like,
you have 3
did you watch
channels.
Friends last night?
Of course, you're all
Everybody
gonna.
watched Friends last
Everybody
night.
would have seen the new All in the Family episode.
Yeah, it's just one of those like you all have a little commonality because there's just sheer lack of option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
And
so
now it's like, oh no, there's too many options.
there's too many options, and that makes it harder for us to connect. I think because it's like you can connect super well with a certain type of person, right? Like I brought up my old coworker Vince quite a bit, but he's got like 10 or 12 people to watch every stream he does.
Yeah.
10 or 12, right? And they have like a weird little clique where they have inside jokes and shit that just wouldn't make sense to anyone that hadn't been there.
Yeah.
Imagine,
what kind of streams, like him face streaming or him like video
Oh,
games?
he has like a YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
He's on Twitch, but he does a YouTube thing. Like he's got like a anime character, right? And it's just his voice, and it's like animatronic in a way, where it's like it emulates his movements and shit.
Man, the world is wild.
Yep.
Yeah, that stuff used to be like sci-fi. That's
See, like you're describing this, and I've never even seen what that would be like.
Yeah, I know.
Like I can't even conjure a screenshot.
You're just telling me a movie that I've never seen.
Oh, it's there's pretty popular these days.
Well, I would assume.
But
you'll see it more as the younger generation grows up. I think.
Okay, so now keep going on that point.
Sure.
You'll see it more. Those people aren't voting.
Nah.
No way. No way. Those people don't want to leave their houses unless you make it real cool. Unless you like put a gun to their head, I don't think they're voting.
So I would consider that to be. Now this is going to sound pejorative. I'm not meaning it that way, but like I would consider that to be a child mindset.
It is.
Right.
He is. He admits he's like a full-grown child.
So
it's not even an insult.
Children have a reliance on their parent or a parental.
He lives. Okay, so let me give you a rundown, just to go along with your.
Yeah.
Because it will back up what you're saying.
Okay.
He owns a house, but he knows that it's not really his because his parents co-signed and they live in the upstairs. He lives in the basement.
Oh. Yeah.
He's lived with them his whole life. They still drive him into work every day. He's 38.
Oh.
Now he's still with that girl. So if she ever moves here, he's talking about buying them out. But like, I think he'll always be hitched to his parents in some way. And he's older than we are, right?
Yeah,
so I always used to say he was tomorrow's human.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's the present day human. But like whatever's coming next is going to be even more like that.
The era caught up with him.
So here's a theory, right? Like, say governmental structures are planning for that generation.
Yeah.
It's just like you've looked at the world around you and you go, man, there's a lot of people that are in this bubble, that they are grown children, and they're not wanting to remove themselves from that. So then all of a sudden, if you have to plan a future for that, I can understand that any plans that you make would make all the independent free thinkers that are now adults freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because it would look as though every freedom is being taken away.
Not even just like taken away, like a lifestyle that doesn't require freedom is being accommodated is more what's happening.
Yeah,
right?
that's a
because like the way you put it makes it sound like they're coming in and putting you in a cell.
Yeah.
No, they're just making you cozy so you don't want to go.
They're letting you
don't
get
need
yourself
to
into
go.
a
They're
cell.
giving you what you're asking for.
Yeah, exactly. It's like oh, have a little more butter on your bread. It's good. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it. Don't worry about the weight you might gain. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the fact that you ate a bag of Cheetos right before bed last night. Like, you're good. It's good for you to be overweight. It's good for you to be. It's good to not care about your future. You can just seriously. If you just sit here for a little while, just you know what, you worked pretty hard. You were up for an hour and a half today. Go back to bed. You know, what are you trying to rush for? Life will be there when you get up. Seriously, this is the tone that we have towards people these days. Like, just live your best life, man. Just don't worry about things so much.
Yeah.
Life isn't a race. It's like, meanwhile, it's like, yeah, it is. We only get so many days. You got to make them count.
Well, and the trick is the modern human has to embody both of those mindsets.
Oh, for sure.
We all have to take time.
We have a balance.
Yeah, we have to take that time where our home life can be a little bit like, it's Saturday morning, I can wake up slow, I can fuck around, I can drink coffee and watch cartoons, but Saturday afternoon, I've got that project I've got to get after, or I've got some work to catch up on. During the work week, all right, it's hustle time.
I am in a weird place right now with this, all of what you're saying, because I've had to turn my work life into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't have more time. The time I have is more restful, right? Like I came in here and I'm still amped up in some ways. It still hasn't gone completely because like I would be running around at like an 8, ready for shit to go wrong all the time.
Yeah.
And now I'm just kind of like,
you check the email again, like, nope, still good.
Yeah, and then
check the calendar, not still good.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because there is complexity to it in some moments, but like it's almost completely just at ease.
You gotta keep lots of balls in the air, but they fall really slow.
And then there's moments when shit goes crazy for a second, and then it's like, oh well, now it's done. And then, because like my thing is when that'll happen, I'm like expecting it to keep happening. So I'm like, and it's like, oh, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So like
suddenly everyone's client is sitting on a bed getting tattooed, and it's slow time again.
But like I've had to go, okay, so my life is mostly peaceful now.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm used to hustle.
Yeah.
And so like it's been weird for me that way. Like knowing that my life is now more restful than it is like stressful is strange. But it's stimulated my mind to go other places a little bit. Like I'm thinking, I guess, outside the box for what I would have considered before.
Yeah.
And I would expect that that's only going to keep going. So I think you need that kind of piece to stimulate like an artistic part of your brain.
Before you can go through more doors, you've got to like close a couple of the ones that have fire coming through them, you know?
Yeah, it's weird.
If there's a couple doors on fire, you're not opening new doors right now.
So it's really easy to justify not doing anything on your days off when you were busy all week.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But when you're not busy all week, and then you're still trying not to do things on your days off or whatever the hell that looks like, your spare time, you don't really have an argument anymore.
Yeah.
Like you can't say to yourself or anyone else, I was too busy to do.
Right.
So it's like I guess that's a lie. I guess I'm just useless or lazy. But like once you can say that to yourself, it's like now you're holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that the part of why you need those days off or those restful moments or whatever the fuck it looks like is so that you can get farther with something or you can work on yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're in battle all the time, there's no way you're going to work on anything. You're just going to survive.
That's right.
Right? And you're just going to be defending.
You may improve with that one thing, but you're missing like you're I'll put this metaphor here somewhere. Either way, you're missing lots of stuff in the rearview mirror.
So what I would say is like what could end up happening is having all these people just kind of cozy and drinking the milk and fat and soft and laying around. You could end up with, in a weird way, a more artistic future.
Yeah.
Right? Like a more creative looking future where it's like less out of necessity and more out of desire.
Yeah, I think you're seeing that in terms of like the things that people get excited about right now socially. It's this like creative digital, like the things that spur a wild influx of money and attention are these like weird niche digital artistic things.
Yeah.
Like, even the concept of like digital avatar.
Yeah.
Creating an avatar, having people like there's lots of different things with that. Like the NFT thing, I know it's kind of short-lived in terms of like the attention it got, but it's still going.
I think it's just not there yet, right? Like we have an early awareness of it, but like it's going to keep working in the background.
Yeah, it's like anything getting a new lens. Like when the world looks at it for a second, it's like whoa, and then they're like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it takes a while to become like normally adopted.
I'll give you an example of this. So if you're trading in your own trading account, you're following the stock market, the market goes down 2% today, like you know about it. You saw a 1 day 2% drop in the market, like you're aware all day the market is going down today. And you're like waiting to see what happens tomorrow. Anything changes, you know about it. Anybody else who's not trading their own account, no fucking clue.
Yeah.
So I gave my account away to have it managed by someone else, and now I don't even notice when the market does anything.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
even
been
care.
removed from your concern.
Yeah, no one tells me about it. I don't watch any media that tells me about it. Market could have gone down 10% in the last 2 months.
How many things,
and I wouldn't know.
Like if they took from your personal responsibility, how many of those will attribute an increase in your happiness? Like all of a sudden you just have to go to work and you're Rick. Okay, now you're Rick. You stumble in here, a little drunk or hungover sometimes.
Is simplicity happiness?
Well, I'm trying to draw a comparison there.
Well,
He has a simple life, right? He bumbles in, does what he wants, gets paid an outrageous amount of money, doesn't worry about his supplies, right? No, let's paint the man, and then he's gone, 2 hours, 3 hours into a day.
He doesn't seem happier.
No.
So this is a life of no accountability.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is where it can go wrong.
Well, that's the problem with...
He needs some structure.
The last 3 days of the month, he saves his money from work to pay rent.
Yeah.
And starts all over again.
This is what can happen when you have no enforcement, no structure, no responsibility. You can become that, right? And
Well,
that's not necessarily... He's gifted, artistically amazing, right? But, what's tethering him to anything? Nothing. There's nothing there to keep him... He could just not show up ever again.
Yeah.
So I think one of the problems that we get into is I would say social understanding of what happiness is like ticking a chemical box in your brain. And that chemical box is like the little rewards, right?
It's Schrodinger's box. It
Sure.
can't stay ticked either.
Yeah, no.
Oh no, God no.
Well,
This is my well-being. I take over happiness. What does my life look like abroad?
That's
So,
right.
if you think about social media in terms of just using social media, so it's like their box that gets ticked is basically your attention, right? Like you've got, if they've given you something and it's harnessed your attention, that's happiness. You know what I mean? Like your focus or something to that nature is societally what we consider attention or to consider happiness. So if that's all that it is, if happiness is only whatever we are having our attention on things that we like, then society is moving to a really good place. If that's all that happiness is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like things that you like or say that you like and your ability to interact with them for more of your day.
So much so, though, what we say we like and what we actually like are two different things.
Yes.
And that's where our phones have figured us out better than we know ourselves. On the surface, anyway. My phone knows me better than I know me because it just watches my patterns. It watches me without any of my own bullshit. Without any of my own, well, I do this for this reason.
There's no pretense to this.
Yeah,
bullshit.
I got all this sugar coating on it. Well, I think it's this, and I'm pontificating on this, and I think I've been working on this thought, and I think it's this thing, and my phone's nah, dude, it's straight up this. You like this?
Super no.
It doesn't give a fuck. It's checked out as it could possibly be. It's just showing me the things that I'm asking it to.
Yeah, okay, but there's the wording in that is, I think, where the issue becomes. Because you said it's showing you what you like, biologically, deep down, without your filters.
Yeah, without any of my sugarcoating.
Now, I don't think that attention and what you like are the same. Because you can have attention paid to horrible things that make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because your attention is...
So you want our phone to be morally superior?
No, not at all.
I know what you'd like to see today. I'm going to give you what you actually
Not at all.
It's just,
I wish that we understood that what we get given is not necessarily what we like.
No,
it's
not
what
at
our
all.
brain is trying to make us stay alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're trying to get input
This is
in
it.
areas.
I've said it a number of times, when I was doing the blackout thing, and in many people's eyes, trashing over old tattoos, I was never hotter.
Yeah.
It's never spreading more. Now everyone's on board with what I'm doing, and it's slowed right down.
Yeah.
I'm not dying by any means, but it's not what it was. Because now everybody's that's cool. This is great. I can't believe you can do that. And it's gradually as time goes on, less and less people are seeing what I'm doing because it's not pissing them off anymore. I come full on, I face that reality of if I were pissing people off more, I would be trending.
Yeah.
where now I'm making them happy and I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's pretty fucking sad that that's the way it works.
Well, but like that's the thing, right? Like the algorithm in terms of what it pushes is that attention thing. It's that anxiety-driven survival mechanism.
So the
rather
way
than like joy.
The way to get it to where you would like it to be, that I wish it would give us the things that make us happy.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm certainly not saying that.
You would need
what I'm saying is the language around what our society considers happiness needs to change. Because we have conflated the idea of happiness and survival. And we're ticking our anxiety box with our phones currently. And we think that more things that settle our anxiety box is happiness. As in, like, not being depressed and not being anxious, therefore you are happy, right? Because, like, if you're a naturally anxious person and you're just looking for things to tick off your anxiety box so that part of it settles, that's not happiness. You know what I mean? All you're doing is you're creating it so that this pot that's normally going to boil over, every time that it boils over, you're turning down the heat knob again. That's all you're doing. And we have created a language in our society that is happy. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I do know what you mean, but I had to actually intervene with Sarah one time because she just kept stumbling into these dead dog like news articles and stuff, like dog getting hit by a car, like dog getting eaten by a bear, like all these like, and she had a fear that her dog is going to die in some way because when they were young, their dog got hit by a car. Mm-hmm. Mom let the dog out and it got hit. And it was like, she's just feeding into this. And she's just, I found another, and she's showing me all the time, like, stop looking at that.
Yeah, dogs are dying every day.
Everyone is dying. Though.
It's still statistically irrelevant.
Well, it's not to her, though.
That's right.
Like, the way that she's wired is, if she sees that dog, it's not my dog.
But, like,
that's all that is happening in her brain.
Constantly bringing her to look at her dog and be like, oh, I hope I don't lose you. Like, you know, like it's like, but you gotta stop.
That's that anxiety. So she's got this anxiety that her dog is going to be the one that's dead.
But I'm like,
and so if she looks at other dogs that are getting attacked, that's not her dog. So that's the boiling over thing. That's just like, it's like taking your anxiety and going like, it's not mine, it's not mine, it's not mine. The world got it with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Someone walked up on stage and hit a man. That wasn't me. Everybody loved that. Someone said something wrong and I didn't get hit. And like that's why we resonate with that over and over again. That's why you resonate with like those world star things and people getting hit by stuff.
What I love about that whole scenario is everybody all of a sudden gave so much of a shit about like Chris Rock and Will Smith.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time anyone was talking about them? Like I'm not saying they're irrelevant. They're relevant.
No,
they're very relevant.
But
yes.
What was the movie that Will Smith was up for an Oscar?
I don't even know.
Exactly. Because no one cares.
No one gives a
So all of a sudden, everybody knows everything about these people.
Yeah, they're not cool anymore. It's
all these attacks on her, and like she's this thing, and he's that, and like he's a piece of that, and like it's like, do you know these people personally?
Oh, it's wild, man.
Dear internet, still don't care.
Yeah.
Like, not that I'm defending them, because they're probably all miserable pieces of shit. But
again, if it's one of those like, if all that's serving is they get an example of something and they get told it's not me. It's all. If you just watch people in terms of their way that they're interested in things, it's not me or that could be me. Those are like the two things, right? So like tattoos in our Instagram thing, those are the ones that trend are aspirational. They're like that could be me. That's what that box is ticking. And then like with the blackout thing, when you're covering up tattoos, that's that's not me. Yeah. It's like you get the two sides of the coin, but that's not me is way stronger.
Oh fuck yeah, it is. It's like it's way stronger for sure. It's not even close. Like you can see it in my insights. I can see the math on that. Like, and it was something that I was always aware of, but I wasn't presented the details like that before all of this happened. Where it's like, holy shit, mathematically, people really like to hate things more than love them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like now some of the same people who hated it have turned around and they love it, and now they don't even see it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't even get a chance to interact with the thing that they like, but they were getting it. pushed at them all the time when they didn't like it.
Yeah.
So that's partially the saliency of it, but it's also just partially the algorithm. The algorithm says, oh, there's people having less strong reactions. It can boil down.
Oh, for sure. It's impartial as fuck.
So what I was going to say with your people's, like, the common understanding of happiness, I feel like right now especially, people are really going, to be happy, cake all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not literal cake, but brain cake.
Yeah, brain cake.
You know,
Yeah.
People are really reaching for the easy.
Give me some of that brain cake.
Yeah, exactly. That shows in the fact that people are far more interested in random TikTok reels of some chick like painting her fucking fingernails than they are about, you know, real things that do impact their life.
We've become a society of voyeurs, like we've never been before. Like we've always had a voyeuristic nature, but my God.
And voyeurism, to start with, is brain cake.
It's like the greatest for this is streaming culture in general. Started off video games, let's plays, things like that, where it's like, I own this video game, right? I could play it myself, but
instead I'm going to watch someone else.
Instead, I'm going to watch someone else. And then from there, it blew up into a whole community. It's like thousands upon thousands of people watching one person.
Well, now
play a
people
game.
are going two-layer brain cake, where they're playing the video game and watching
They're
someone
playing
else
along.
play the video game.
Yeah, and they're wanting the community of it, right? But at the same time, it's like, I guess you could say we've done that with sports forever. You could technically throw a ball around.
Yeah.
But this is like leisure time, laying in your bed. Like, it's like, I could play this, but I'd rather watch someone else do it so I don't have to do the work. It's like, this is strange. Like, we're in a strange moment.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think of too much of that as the strange part chemically. Like, you're just getting oxytocin. It's all it is. You know what I mean? Like the communal, the watching a sport, like the listening to a podcast, the playing video games, watching someone else play video games, like that. All that is that's bonding.
Yeah, podcast is another one.
This
Right?
is like, but it's one of those like we don't get a lot of areas where oxytocin is released in the way that we used to.
Up next in your fight for mental health, oxy brain cake tocin.
Yes.
Here we
It's just
go.
like,
Ding,
you
ding.
could make the same argument here. I'm going to watch these three assholes have a conversation about stuff that they kind of shouldn't be talking about potentially. Well, I could just go for coffee with two of my friends and do that same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get a more efficient dose of it. That's the problem with like when you remove yourself from proximity of it, right? So it's like us sitting down and talking. That's a certain level of oxytocin. And us, like if I was to just listen to three other people sit and have a podcast, that's way less efficient in my brain. Like you just don't get the same level.
Well, it's less lasting anyway. Like you're still going to sit there and think you're getting that interaction. You think you're engaging, but then afterwards, I feel like you're far less. Like the dose you got was far less lasting and far less actually biologically nourishing for you.
Well, it can't be.
Exactly.
So, like what we are doing right now, eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes is like the most amount of oxytocin for like other than sex. But like if you could just stare, that's like that Harvard experiment where two people sit in a room and they force them to sit and stare at each other's eyes for 4 minutes. And after 4 minutes,
Other
the amount of
than
oxytocin
sex, you open up a really, really funny like path to go off of about like I feel like there's so many people that are in relationships that would rather service themselves and watch porn than touch one another. And
Probably.
Let alone make eye contact with their partner.
Yeah, let alone make eye contact.
Yeah.
If they even could.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like, if they even could.
If they even could.
Well, a lot of people do the avert the gaze thing, right? Like where it's just like they hide their eyes. And we have a lot of weird hang-ups in our society currently that are creating a lot of more and more difficult situations.
People have been pushed into a place where they don't feel that they can be assertive.
Sure.
You know,
or be themselves.
Yeah, people stumble through their life feeling, I think, out of control or insecure. So when they get home, they might feel, in the shopping mall right now, you walk in the shopping mall here, no one makes eye contact with you.
Yeah.
Like, when you order your coffee, that chick taking your order looks you in the eyes for 0.01 seconds.
I gotta tell you, like, I still enjoy when, like, you look at someone and they kind of give you a smile.
Yeah, me too.
Right? I still do that myself a little bit.
It doesn't happen much in the mall though. Like I'll intentionally try to make eye contact with people when I walk around, and I think they think I'm a fucking crazy person.
Probably.
That guy's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's uncommon.
Yeah.
It's less and less common. It's one of those, like, when something becomes uncommon, it feels unsafe to people that don't do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like for some people, eye contact is a sexual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because
like
it's
now it feels
releasing
rapey.
similar chemicals, right?
It can feel rapey. Like, if you look me in the eye, does that mean you want to fuck me?
But just think of it chemically. Just give yourself only chemicals. You know what I mean? If we're just like an organism that gets driven by chemicals, it's the same chemical. So it makes sense that people would relate it to that level of discomfort, because it's like a level of closeness that you would normally only associate with sex at that point, if that's the only thing that you're doing is releasing oxytocin.
Well, in our culture, yeah.
Or people that are closest.
In our culture.
When community and vulnerability have like been made to be such a small part of our lives, when our communication is so unidirectional, then it's being less and less common.
No, it makes a lot of sense, unfortunately. But again, I'm not necessarily trying to shit on people getting some oxytocin from other places, but again, it would be nice if societally we kind of understood the amounts that you get.
People used to have to go to the pub to get it,
Yeah.
and now they say, I'll just stay in.
Yeah.
I'll text some friends and watch some YouTube, and it'll be sweet.
Well, even just like, so say you understood, like, hey, the reason you like this is because you feel bonded to this. And if you find that this feels good, you will have a better reaction with a small group of friends. You will just get more of that chemical. It's like if you are a drug-seeking person at that point, you're just looking for oxytocin. You can get it from all these other avenues in terms of minuscule amounts, right? They're just like trickling in. If you want to do a better version of
what does that as an addict look like?
How do you mean?
Like, if you were an oxytocin addict, what's your life look like?
You are doing all of those things that we're talking about. You're playing a video game. You're playing a video game with a bunch of people that you don't know while listening to a gamer, listening to a stream of other people, reacting to them, and there's inside jokes, and then you have also like a podcast going on in the background that you listen to, that you know all of their stuff. But it's just like, but they're all like little micro doses of
stimulus.
Yeah, no, seriously. It's just like, and then all of a sudden you're also on your phone, you're also getting texts, you also have your watch dinging at you, you also have all of these things.
It's like an alternate to an opium den. Where you're just being fed opium and some beautiful woman is giving you opium.
Yeah, and then the really efficient macro dose of that is you have a buddy come over and you play catch outside.
But see, But
that's
see,
legitimately like the bigger thing.
But the trick is, once you turn all that stuff off, you're left empty.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing. Just the second you turn all those screens off, you're still alone in your house again. What if you play catch with a friend?
That's what I used to do.
He leaves. You're tired now. You go to sleep happy.
Yeah. That's what I used to do at the guitar shop when I managed it. Is if people were having a bad day, we had baseball gloves and a baseball. And I would tell someone, I would tell someone, hey, he's having a bad day, go outside and have a catch with him.
Did anyone ever accuse you of being condescending in any way? Oh. Fuck off with your catch.
Who doesn't want to play catch in the middle of the day?
Yeah.
Like, you're right, I need to loosen up.
Yeah, and it was just, you go out there for 5 minutes, throw a ball around, it is what it is.
Like, you've seen me on my grumpy days.
Yeah.
If you would have walked up and been like, let's go play catch, what would I say?
Well, I don't know. Maybe fuck you, I don't know.
No.
No, you'd have catch.
Yeah. I'd be like, let's go fucking play catch.
You do some things like that anyway. You didn't jump in.
That's right. I
I
already seek healthy loosening up.
You're medicating yourself in some way, right?
Yeah, of course.
It sounds crazy, but it's true.
Oh no, but if I'm feeling claustrophobic in my day from being tattooing in this space, I do go sit by the door, get a little bit of sun on my face, look down the street to stretch my eyes out.
But like, what if everybody knew themselves in a way that they're like, I need to medicate myself?
Or
you know what I mean?
Or if they reached for the healthier versions instead of the literal medication and the unhealthy outlets.
Well, I mean, okay, so if you were to take a look at it in terms of the the way that our culture is set up right now. So when I was depressed, they were like, hey, serotonin.
Yeah.
Here's a thing that regulates.
Here's a pill to give you that, rather than a behavior.
Rather than like, hey, do you know what serotonin is? Do you know the things that you might do in your life to get them? Do you know what might make it better in your life if you interact with those things? Do you this is what I mean, like,
because it's going to be harder to change your behavior than it is going to be to just give you something that gives you the things.
A pill is a change of behavior.
Yeah, well, it's one new addition to your behavior.
Yeah, but you're creating a ritual, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a ritual of take a pill every day, and you create that, you successfully maintain that. Now, the amount of people that actually successfully maintain take a pill every day, really, really small. Like, really, really small. Like 10%. Most people don't even get their prescriptions filled, let alone take a pill every day.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, I think it's 10%. It was in Jordan Peterson's book, he was talking about it. Because he had this relationship, it becomes like a self-value thing. Like, if you don't have a high self-value of yourself, you're really low, you're really unlikely to follow through on those types of self-care things. It's like, oh, I need to take a med today. It's about 10% of the population that actually follows through on a regular basis. So if you're going to tell this person to implement a ritual into their day, and they don't know. Doctors hope that everybody just does everything perfectly. That's the realm of a doctor. It's like, here, take this thing, and I'm going to assume that you do everything right. But to implement a new ritual into your life, 10% success rate. So if it's just implementing new rituals, it's going to be hard no matter what you do. But you could point people into different rituals.
How much harder, or what's the percentage look like, do you think, of people changing everything that they're doing?
Like getting to a place of cataclysm and having drastic change, I think that's probably higher.
Oh yeah, if you get to bottom.
Yeah.
Like when you crash land, that's when you make the most changes.
Yeah.
That's been the way for me anyway.
Yeah.
Anytime my life goes like this, it's like
that's when the change.
After this, things get better for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the way around that would be psychedelics.
Yeah. Well, because that crash landing gives you something similar to that psychedelic mindset.
Yeah.
Seriously, when we did the mushroom podcast, that chain of thought that I had, was a lot like being at that bottom level, and you're open to more shit, right?
Making pathways.
It's not like you have anything that's making you happy currently, so you're open to more things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could just live in that state. Imagine where you could be.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's cheat codes.
That's what I was saying. Why don't we all just do the cheat codes?
Because we don't have a good relationship with any of that stuff yet.
We need to all do the cheat codes.
Yes, I completely agree with you. You know me. I've been preaching this for a long time.
So I still have a theory on this topic where I think a lot of people need help to make the cheat codes work.
Yeah,
give them some understanding.
If you're someone who's not used to implementing affecting positive change in your life, what are the chances you're going to get high on the substance and enter an area where you are a little more vulnerable and a little more afraid? What are the chances that you are going to jump on that opportunity to make improvement unless you've already built some momentum in using those gaps to make improvement?
I mean, it really depends though. Like, if you're using a substance to make change, then you're already in a place where it's like, oh, I'm implementing this new thing in my life
it's gonna
for a direction.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you were to give it to somebody who didn't know, no, more than likely you're just gonna keep repeating the patterns, and they'll be like, oh.
You don't think it'll have any kind of it will supersede that unawareness?
It will biologically. It will make you more neurally plastic.
Yeah.
So it'll just make your brain more spongy. So you'll have effects that happen.
Spongy brain.
Organically.
Yeah, because all of a sudden dead neural pathways are open, so you can make random little choices that you would never normally make. You would normally be on autopilot for. So in terms of plasticity, you're going to get that either way. So if you're a hard, rigid brain person, you're going to loosen up a little bit.
Could plasticity lead you to worse things?
Yeah, of course.
Right? Like all of a sudden you're going backwards because you're open to new things, but they could be the wrong new things. So like now all of a sudden you're influenced to, or not influenced, but more open to doing destructive behaviors as well.
Oh, of course. You have
you can get high and be thinking about some issues in your life and decide, instead of deciding that, the power is here for me to make a change, you can pretty easy to decide, this friction in my life is that one individual. But them.
Well, yeah, you can,
all of a sudden,
you can become,
I'm gonna kill that guy.
Yeah, shit.
Well,
I'm sure it's happened, man.
You can definitely become more rigid, but like the one, like, I would say, like, little safety buffer that happens is you do get a boost in serotonin. So like your mood is up. The idea of going into I hate that guy, I'm going to kill him, while your mood is up, probably a little bit less likely. If there was no boost there,
imagine, you know what? I'm happy. I'm in a great mood. I'm going to kill that guy today.
Yeah, exactly. So things are going really well. I got.
You know what? It's better for him too.
You know what? Today's the day.
I'll inject my personal experience in here a bit. So I just had mushrooms on Saturday, and something on Sunday happens. It usually happens to me through, the first 7-8 hours of the next day. I'm in an increasingly connected mood, right? I've got a lot more well wishes happening. I've got a lot more feelings of connectedness and desire for connectedness inside of me than a normal day. So I do think even if I came to some drastic hardline conclusions in my mind, I feel like that come down, we'll call it, where I'm extra connected and seeking kind of positivity, I think would negate any negative conclusions I made the day before.
Yeah, agreed.
Even though I can definitely come to negative conclusions on mushrooms, I think the next day, since I'm in that vulnerable state that's filled with positivity, I would usually probably overturn that and seek areas where I have the power to control it in a positive direction,
Yeah. That's the kind of magical thing about them is they have that built-in euphoria, that built-in positivity, that like kind of like happiness to them. And I think like if you didn't have that and you just had something that was making your brain more squishy, I don't think you necessarily get good results every single time. You know what I mean? And that's where I think like you'll probably see that when mushrooms start getting experimented, like the compounds start getting experimented within the pharmaceutical
They'll be
industry.
looking to bring it to its extremes.
Well, they'll be looking to profiteer off of certain aspects.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, hey, this thing does this.
This version will do this for you.
Yeah.
This version will make you more connected to your loved ones.
Isolated
this thing.
versions of things. So if you just get something that opens up your neuroplasticity, yeah, it might put you into areas where you're entertaining areas that are worse for you.
Well, I find mushrooms to have a pretty strong effect on my amygdala, where I do get some fear and some discomfort. Like I do get, especially when I'm first coming up, I do have
a little more paranoia, maybe.
Yeah, some negative. Like it's a bit hard for me at first.
What about?
Coming up. So if you can create a drug that has all the same effects as mushrooms, but turns down that amygdala for that 1 hour when you're especially vulnerable.
What do you know about bipolar and schizophrenia and mushrooms?
It's not ideal.
It's not ideal. That's what I've heard, right? But I wanted to know if you knew any more about how that relates, because like I've heard that you shouldn't do it.
Bipolar too?
No, for sure.
Really?
It's not necessarily that we know specifically that it's bad or anything yet. It's that we don't really know what's good for a neurotypical brain.
My thing is like I was given
areas.
a diagnosis as bipolar when I was young, but I never necessarily bought it.
So, like that's one of the other than borderline personality, that's one of the highest misdiagnosed.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's what I said. I've never lived it. I've never lived going, I'm bipolar.
No.
Yeah.
I was given a diagnosis.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. I
mean,
don't buy it.
So, like, this is one of the problems, like, when you have something that's characteristics of, and then you have the clinical version of. So, even just like saying depression, like, there's now a better understanding of what the clinical version of depression is, and then there's this thing called situational depression. So, like, clinical depression, if you ever want to look into it, Andrew Huberman does a great job of it. It is an inflammatory autoimmune disease.
Oh, wow.
That is their understanding of depression
That's
currently.
crazy.
Wow.
It's no longer like, hey, this is
Sounds like a
psychiatric
bowel
thing.
disease at that point. Like, you have irritable bowel or something.
Legit.
Crohn's.
But that is the current
Your
best
brain
science.
is sick and not producing enough insulin. You're fucked.
Yeah. No, but our understanding of it is now moving away from this thing that it's like, hey, are you sad?
Well, it's because we used to think of our brain as this magical thing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
we've always
disconnected
had
from the
like
rest
a
of it.
kind of a bodily scientific awareness of our what's going on in our physical form, but our brain is, that's running on something magical.
Yeah, it's like they're entirely separate.
It's the same fucking thing. You think eating a steak will make you feel a certain way physically, but it's going to make your brain feel something too, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever you're putting into yourself, it has an effect on this as well as this.
Yeah.
It's just, for some reason, it's really hard to imagine that our brains are, and maybe we don't want to think that our brains are so chemical like that, right? Like
people love the idea that they are, they're really autonomous, or like
just a
they have
spiritual
this
being.
free will thing that, and it's not to say that we don't have free will. It's just that wanting to maintain this idea of our ego being this magical free will thing means that there must be a disconnection from our body.
Some people really don't like that idea.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Some people are they need to be in control.
Yeah, well,
and if you tell them they're not,
everything. I want to live for everything. It's just like my existence has to continue. That's just is whatever it is. And even if my body has to die, my existence has to continue.
Whereas for me, if an alien appeared before us right now and told us, like a huge exposition dump, right, at the end of this podcast, 15 minutes just explaining away everything we once believed in depth, and we're all just fascinated by this thing, I'd be like, okay, like everything I thought was a lie. I wouldn't even rail against it. It would just be like, you know what? That makes sense. Like, I would be completely open to my worldview being shattered in a second by something that was aware or smarter or farther along or had the right, you know what I mean? Like,
that's good, because a lot of people would just try and kill it.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. Like, someone else would be like, oh, that's not my experience. Like, I don't, they just get, but like, I'm totally open for the expert coming in who knows more than me on a topic and telling me.
Now, what if the alien didn't provide the evidence required to change your opinions?
Well, I'm not saying he's a religious figure and I'm believing dogma, but like I'm saying somehow he's factually
he's ticked whatever box.
He's ticking all those boxes.
He has brought new information.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's all valid new information. I'm not going to rail against that. But at the same time, I'm not saying he's a prophet and I'm just following this new Jesus-like figure. It's just, I'm not so married to what I already know to take in new information.
That's good.
Right? Like, because I'm open to being wrong.
Yeah.